Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee, Conversations on Race. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. The Milwaukee metropolitan area has long been regarded as one of the country's most segregated areas. Many neighborhoods are connected by long stretches of highways rather than adjoining boulevards, isolating communities. Joining us now is veteran Milwaukee journalist Dan Shafer, who believes we should rethink the I-94 expansion project in an effort to address the city's segregation issues. How are you, Dan?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
I'm happy to have you join us for this very important conversation. I would like for you right off the bat to tell us your thoughts on the I-94 expansion of the east-west corridor.
Sure. So obviously this is a big issue. The state of Wisconsin is proposing to add a lane in each direction, expanding the 3.5-mile east-west corridor of I-94, and also at the same time expand the stadium interchange right next to American Family Field. And along with that, there are a lot of difficult issues that many people opposed to highway expansion have brought up. And one of those is that it would further segregate this already very segregated metropolitan area. And I think we have an opportunity now to rethink this project, given some of the decisions that have been made this spring about its timing. And I think in order to rethink this project, we have to, instead of start talking about directing the conversation around expanding highways, adding lanes, we should be thinking about getting rid of highways and converting things into boulevards that could better connect communities. The particular example with that would be with the Stadium Freeway that connects to that stadium interchange, Highway 175, about 2-mile highway that goes right through some residential neighborhoods right next to Washington Park, one of the city's best parks, and we have a big chunk of concrete in between that residential neighborhood and a highway. And if you look at the demographics on either side of that highway spur there, you have a majority white neighborhood to the west and a majority black, or one of the city's more integrated neighborhoods, like Martin Drive to the east. So is that really the place that we should be, constraining the neighborhoods, adding lanes, adding more concrete? I think that's the type of conversation that we need to rethink right now.
I find it all very interesting when we look at systemic racism and how it is really woven into the whole concept of transportation and things expanding. When you look back in history, in any American city, you will see those neighborhoods that were thriving for African Americans in particular. They all were disrupted and never have been the same after a highway was built right through the middle of them. That happened right here in Milwaukee with Bronzeville. And then you have the situation back in 2012 when the coalition that was led by Milwaukee Inner City Congregations Allied for Hope, the Black Health Coalition of Wisconsin, and the ACLU, they sued the Wisconsin Department of Transportation over the multi-billion-dollar reconstruction of the zoo interchange, ended up winning that case that actually was attributed to racial discrimination, and they took that money and made such a difference with job lines. But then when that money ran out and after the city contributed it to another year of it, it's gone, and we're kind of back where we started. So talk about how do we begin to think differently and look at things of the past and try to change that?
Yeah, I think what happened with the zoo interchange is a really instructive story, because I think you had this circumstance where the largest public works project in the history of the state of Wisconsin was deemed to be racially discriminatory right in the heart of one of the most segregated metropolitan areas in the country. So you would think we would maybe learn from that. And one of the big reasons that it was that the opposition won that case was because it did not include adequate transit as a part of that proposal. And I think as we've seen in the years since that ruling, the job lines route, which helped hundreds of people get from the city of Milwaukee to jobs in surrounding communities, that the construction on the zoo interchange is still going on, but those job lines routes have been finished for more than 2 years now. So, as I was reporting on this story, I asked some of the people in favor of this expansion, how is this different? How is this going to avoid those issues of racial discrimination? And folks like Steve Boss from the MMAC said that, well, if they want to sue, they can sue. He didn't really offer an explanation about how this would approach things differently or bolster transit at all. And all the while, we are having the mechanism for this that would fund the expansion of the highway was part of the state budget. And during those state budget deliberations, the Republicans in the Joint Finance Committee cut Milwaukee's transit budget in half. So you have this happening simultaneously where they're advancing this potentially $1 billion highway expansion while you're cutting an already strained transit budget in half.
It's all very interesting, and on so many occasions, it feels like we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. So in wrapping up, please talk about where you would like to see this project go, just from a personal standpoint.
Sure. I think we need to start having the conversation about where we can get rid of highways. I think we just saw a real success story in downtown Milwaukee with how getting rid of the Park East Freeway opened up the door to developing what is now the Pfizer Farm in the Deer District. And I think if we start, looking at removing highways as an opportunity, I think that is what we should be looking at with the Stadium Freeway and 175 right now. And I think, there are options in this project, this proposed expansion that would rebuild the highway within its existing footprint, within the 6 lanes that it is. And I think, even the most ardent highway expansion opponents are in favor of the modernization of the infrastructure project side of that. And as things are moving through Congress that could fund infrastructure projects like this, I think that has to be taken into consideration too. So I think now is a really good time to step back and take a look at the big picture for what a project like this would mean for Milwaukee, because you push this expansion forward and you're setting your future in concrete for the next century.
Wow. It's all very interesting, and it will be even more interesting to see how it all pans out. Thank you so much for your time and really just giving us your thoughts on this very important subject.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dan Shafer is the author of the award-winning weekly opinion column, The Recombobulation Area, and can be found at recombobulationarea.substack.com. In our final segment, we check in with State Senator Lena Taylor and State Representative Lakeisha Myers for an update on the ongoing battle to preserve voter rights. We'll be right back.